front of a live audience. But anyways, yeah, let's get down to it. We are playing today, as you can see, Inside. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of Inside. It came out like 2 years ago, I think. But if you're not familiar with it, it's by the same company who did Limbo. They're called Play Dead, and I actually want to play Limbo if there's time after this as well, which is why I called this Play Dead Games instead of just Inside. But I just adore this game. Some people, yeah, if you see me sneezing like that, sorry, it's spring, it's allergy season. I don't officially have allergies, but yeah. I get stuffy all the same. But yeah, this is Inside, and you'll notice that there's no press start or anything. Just kind of gotta start pressing buttons. And as soon as you press a button, this kid shows up. What's this kid's deal? Why is he in a red shirt? Why is he in the woods? So we can only move left and right. It's 3D, but it's technically 2.5D since we can only move in a straight line. Even though if this kid really wanted to avoid some of these things, he really could just move along the Z-axis. I mean, come on, kid. There's more than the X and Y axis. Come on. Although I do like how it kind of like curves almost, or the camera work gives the illusion of curving, so it kind of enhances the suspension of disbelief that maybe this kid, alright, he's not just moving in 2D. He is changing his direction somewhat, but it also gives the effect that he has a clear goal in mind. And he's determined to reach it no matter what. Now you can see there's guys walking in the background there. And like pods. What are those pods holding? What was that truck full of slaves and people in masks? Like, this game gives off a... Oh, they heard me. But yeah, see, they're wearing masks. What does that mean? And what was that pod they're looking at? What's in there? Could those be temporary holding facilities? Maybe it's like Fallout, those like mini Fallout shelters that never worked. You know the ones. The rival to Voltec. Maybe it's like that. Maybe there was some sort of apocalypse. People were told to hide in those things, but instead they were gassed or something and then harvested later. So there's that truck again. Now, I played this game a bunch of times, if you can't tell. I mean, a lot of these early puzzles are pretty intuitive anyways. Pretty simple stuff, really. And then shit sort of gets real here. Because then they spot you. Then Fido here comes and... Look at that! Like, 3 feet away from death there. That's like the first. That's like the second spot you could get killed, because earlier when they heard me step on the twig, I could have died there, but that was much easier to avoid than that dog. And in the forest section, it's more things like that. You're either avoiding dogs or avoiding these humans. Now this truck we actually saw a little earlier I didn't point it out, but if you had a keen eye, now look at this. They shorten the distance, like, look at that. A second off and they could have seen me. So, does a really good job of raising the stakes. I'm just going to gush about this game like for 2 hours. Explain to you why I think it's the best game ever. Are there problems? Sure. It is kind of weird. This kid just walks in a straight line most of the time. Listen to that. I just love the soundtrack to this game. It's so eerie and haunting. Your aim sucks, boy. Alright, gotta come up for air. But you'll notice there was a wire down there. Let's see where that wire goes. Seems to go this way. Alright, now I know where I'm going. So yeah. What's that? Let's get to it. Oh, I can pull on it. Yep. That right there was one of many secrets throughout the game that just add an entire layer of mystery to an already mysterious game. So this one just looked like a weird thing, right? Didn't do anything when I unplugged it. But you'll see later that isn't the same with all of them. Over time, the game sort of hints about the purpose of those things. Now, I have some theories I'll go over when I finish the game at the end of the live stream. Right now I'm going to just swim under the flashlight. Yeah, crystal clear waters, yet they can't see me when I'm in the beam of light underwater. As soon as I go above water, bam. Yeah, they just gave up. But yeah, some people don't like this game because they think it's too simplistic. The game mechanics aren't really... They think it's a walking simulator because the puzzles are easy. And they claim they require a lot of trial and error. Now, it may seem that way. There's one puzzle I'll get to later that may seem like a trial and error puzzle at first, but I'll tell you why it's not. Now, the secrets are more trial and error. That I'll give them to them. But if they weren't trial and error, they wouldn't be so secret. Like this secret, I don't know how anyone would have found on their own. If you're wondering why I'm just sort of like pressing a button, see, that's why. There's a door hidden behind corn cobs that you're really not supposed to know about until the end of the game, but I know about it now. Because Basically, you see this dark room. And we'll come back here right later, but I'm just going to unplug another one of these things. There's this dark room. See, that thing is, the store is so hidden. I think what's intended is that you're supposed to run completely past it. And later in the game, it lets you know how many of them you missed. And so I think the other ones are supposed to be fairly noticeable, except for this one, because the game will let you know that you missed it even if you didn't miss it, like I just did. I didn't miss this one. But the game will say you did and send you back here. Well, it doesn't send you. You have to go looking for it yourself. But oh, wow. Did you see that? Oh my goodness. All these months playing this game and I haven't even noticed this. Okay, so that photo right there, the one I'm just under, it just developed while I was in the room. I didn't even know that was a thing. Let's wait and see if some of these other photos develop. I'm curious now. That means someone was here very recently. But yeah, this photo, if you look closely, it kind of looks like an enemy you find later in the game. Just memorize this photo. It'll come back later. This photo, I'm not sure what it is. It could be a number of things. That could honestly be anything. Then there's this mysterious door in this thing. I know what that's for, but I'm not going to say it. That comes until... We'll save this room till the end. Those photos haven't developed, so I'm just going to leave for now. That was really cool, though. I never noticed that before. But yeah, just look at the attention to detail that Playdead put into this. All these cans. Amazing. Chairs. It looks really lived in. It's almost as if someone set up a camp down there as a shelter of some sort. Also, where are we going? Why are these people after us? And why are these chicks following us? Now we're in a farm. I mean, we just came out of a cornfield, so I guess that makes sense. And we see some more dead pigs. Interesting. Why would the world not want pigs to be alive? Pigs are livestock. Unless these people are all vegans, I don't think there's a reason to be slaughtering all the pigs. In fact, if they were vegans, that would be missing the point of being vegan. Because, you know, like, vegan's supposed to be all about protecting the animals and stuff like that, so. But what would they be eating? Each other? Huh. Would that be where those people in the truck were? They've switched to Soylent. Alright, so this puzzle is pretty darn cruel. But it's one of many puzzles that are pretty darn cruel. Now, I'm not the first one to have point this out, and I won't be the last. All the chicks survived except one. See that one that's not moving there? That's a dead chick. See that one left behind? It's dead. One chick died so that I would live, but the others survived. That's going to be a theme that happens like 2 or 3 times more, now that I think about it. Again, another one of those wires. All of these secrets so far, except for the one in the cornfield, has had these yellow wires leading to them. So it's clearly in that building. So, more dead pigs, but this time they've got worms. This is why I think I should have played Limbo first, because in Limbo, there were these weird mind control worms that would basically turn the game into an auto runner, that basically it would make you walk forward, and you could only slow your movement by holding backwards. You couldn't actually move backwards. So you could either speed or slow yourself, but you'd always stay in the same direction, unable to change it. And so you'd have to jump and slow yourself, and you'd only change direction as soon as you entered light. Like this one, a bright light, which is interesting. Maybe these bright lights are killing off these worms. Anyways, I'm going to go in here now. Live pigs. So they haven't killed them all just yet. But why are so many of those dead pigs infested with those parasitic worms? Could they be related to the mind control worms from Limbo? Interesting. And what are those things? Again, so far they haven't done much when we deactivated them. Although that is an interesting place for one, in a barn full of pigs. It's because in Limbo the parasites hated bright lights. If they're exposed too long, they would actually die. Although you'd have to get like some sort of barnacle creature to eat them. But it seems these ones are scared off by the light enough to let go of their hosts. At least most of them anyways. Clearly there's still some that are proved to be more resilient. More of these worms in the dirt this time. Some of them are dead. More of them in the pigs. The pig there. Here we enter some mud. It's really hard to move. I'm going to speed it up a bit. That worm's in that pig's butt. So we're going to continue on. And Piggy's not dead. So yeah, this pig's pretty easy to evade. But he will kill you if you're not careful. Yeah. Let's pull that worm out of his butt, and now look at that. He's docile. Maybe those are mind control worms. But what purpose does a worm that makes things violent have? And what is this yellow thing? Well, let's see if we can touch it. Oh my. It is mind control. Now, I know the puzzle already, so I'm just going to solve it, but interesting. So now somehow these people experimenting with the mind control have taken these worms from Limbo and harnessed their parasitic abilities, to mind control people. But what government will allow such a thing? What happened to the world to allow this? Is there a need for such a thing? There's a hopeful lot of water here. Could there have been a flood or something? Maybe global warming. Coastal cities were flooded. Loss of farmland, fertile soil. Had to reduce the population. Perhaps they reduced the started reducing the undesirables, but realized those were the people who were doing the manual labor. And so now all the people left were people who didn't want to do manual labor, so they forced them to, whether they wanted to or not. But that wouldn't work. Eventually they would revolt. But if they were mind controlled like those people there, they can't revolt. Now here is a genius puzzle, in my opinion. It seems almost counterintuitive. So there's a rope and there's a minecart. I'm going to pull the minecart to the rope. But you see, the minecart's attached to the rope. When I pull the minecart over, the rope goes up. I have to move the box away from the rope, so that now I don't even need a box to get up onto it. I can just grab it. Ingenious puzzle, in my opinion. It's simple, but it's counterintuitive. Love it. And the particle effects, simply amazing work on the graphics. Simplistic, yet detailed. And here we see a setup for another puzzle. Clearly, there's a safe up there, and there's boards. Instantly, it's pretty clear what needs to be done here. The camera is positioned so that both things are in view. But how to get to the safe now becomes the question. So we continue on. I love the camera work in this game. You can instantly see things, even if you consciously don't notice them, your subconscious notices it. And therefore, when it pops up again later, you have a better understanding of what it is. So that switch there will come in handy. But right now, it's just off in the corner there. But it seems interesting, so we're going to try to go over and take a look. Now, obviously the first instinct would be looking up here, but there's nothing too interesting there. Although, look at the wreckage. Look at that building there. The background. And look where the kid's looking. He's looking down. What is down there? What does the kid see? We will never know. So, first thing a person will do would play with the switch. They'll realize, hey, that lifted that up. Oh, but how does that help me? It's tilted the wrong way. Maybe I can push it. Ah. So you need to because see, it goes over there, and you can't really get to there, but you gotta think two-dimensionally. This helps you out more than you think. Because it gives me a platform over there. I love the 2.5D. So that's easy to fuck up there. A lot of people mess that up with poor timing. Luckily, the game developers animated it so that it gave you plenty of time to leave that. A smarter player will realize that that safe, once it falls, it's going to take it. It's going to take those boards with it. So, because it was attached to the boards. Takes a sharp eye. So yeah, that part of the puzzle may have been trial and error, but really it did have signs. Again, more wires leading to you. This one was pretty obvious. And when I first played this for the first time, that was the first one I found. Was through this vent. Because it was pretty darn obvious with the Stanley Parable Adventure line there. Yeah. Another great game that I may play on a live stream like this in the future. Alright, so this guy and a couple of these things. Interesting. But clearly I need two people, so let's see if there's... Oh, okay, so that switch opens that door. Let's try this again. Interesting, a second guy. But they're not quite lined up. And they go in opposite directions, so this is kind of difficult. Oh, but this is the same distance from the doorway as this is from the wall. So what if we close that door again? Ah, that lines them up. Yeah, some puzzles earlier on the game, they're not all that hard, but they do get a little harder. There is one that you really have, there are a few later on that you really have to wrap your brain around. Suddenly there's this ominous thumping. You know, I'm just gonna tweak my settings here. I'm gonna turn up the game volume, the desktop audio. Just so you can better hear the sound effects and stuff. I'll try to talk over it. Okay. So hopefully This game is kind of silent, so it won't overpower me talking too much. So now we see where that thumping's coming from. It's coming from that marching down there. Thump it, a thump it, a thump it, a thump. And if you look really closely, you can see another one of those wires. So let's ride the slide down. Jump onto this pole. Thumping's getting louder. Oh, and if you look closely, there's a ladder, so let's jump on the ladder now. Follow this wire some more. E. A tape recorder playing some strange music. Interesting. That's the first time we've seen music being played with one of those things. Ooh, a guard. Let's hope he doesn't see us. Yeah, don't mind me, just your average Ninja Turtle. Huh. Average parkour boy in a red shirt. That's gonna destroy your knees, kid. Ah. See, I love how the game plays to the expectations like that. We'd walked over a board like that before, and went over just to fine, so we expected the same, but then the game throws a loop at you. But we still end up in the same place, moving to the right. Forever left to the... Oh, well. Now we move over to the right hand of the screen, but... Again, I love the camera work. This part of the game forces you to pay attention to what's going on in the background. Their steps are completely synchronized. Men and women look like they're sleepwalking, like zombies. They're dressed up in like work clothes and casual clothes. It's like no matter where they were in life, they just... Some of them look like upper middle class even, so this isn't just the poor. Ah, now, remember what I was saying about some people say it's trial and error? This is one of them. I'll mess up intentionally so that you can see why it might be trial and error, but I'll show you why it's not. So, maybe someone's first instinct would be to press that, and maybe they get past this successfully. They manage to figure out that you have to evade the light. But then this. Yeah. It's like, how was I supposed to know? There was an elevator over there. Well, here's my defense of this part. Oh god, I sounded like Trump. Whatever. Here's my defense of this part, and why I think it's not so trial and error. So for that we have to go back a little bit. So, we climb up the ladder, and already we see a switch. It's like, alright, let's push the switch, let's push the switch. First, the camera reminds us of the slaves. And then, switch. Oh, what's that ominous shadow in the background? And why are there corpses everywhere? And why are there wires attached to the ship? And then see the wires attached to those ominous beasts in the background. They seem shut down. Flipping the switch may not be a good idea. Let's inspect the area. Because we'd rather not deal with those things. Ah, an elevator. So let's open this up. It needs power. So we're going to have to use the switch anyways. But by taking a look at your environment first, you make things safer for you. The game teaches you early on that you have to take a good look at your environment. So yes, this area may seem trial and error, but it does serve a purpose. Now that was just error. That was just straight up error on my part. And there we have it. Even if you didn't die once in that section, the game still does a great job of letting you know what would happen if you did. Here we have another board that looks like it might break like the last time, but doesn't. But we're also reminded again of the slaves. Because now this is one of the great misdirections of the game. It gives you a pitfall right there. But and it's like, alright, so I'll jump right before the pitfall. But unbeknownst to you, there's a hidden pitfall. Now you have to now you have to play along, act like you're one of the mind-controlled slaves. You have to pick up on the patterns fast. 9 steps. And the game lets you see that 2 times before you have to do it yourself, so you can get a hold of the timing. Lets you know that only the people in the squares do it. And as you do it with twice, but with different actions. Also cleverly positioned you so they have to do each action twice, when some of them only had to do it once. And then the music cuts off, so it's like, okay, no more of that. But then the dog starts growling. You think, please don't spot me. Let me walk by. Maybe I can get by. It won't notice me. And that's the point of no return. Just excellent game design right there. I didn't even have to think about that. No one would have to think about that. The dogs coming in, this coming in, it all culminated into the same moment. Into a unifying moment that incorporated everything the game has taught you so far. So here we see an interesting puzzle. Now this forces a new mechanic onto the player. Another one of these mind control things. And we have no way of getting up, so naturally the first thing we want to try is, can the mind control slave mind control another mind control slave while being mind controlled by us? And it can. We mind control the mind control slave, which clearly has a mind of its own. Because it too is mind controlling. But it's mind controlling under its own mind control of us that we are imposing on it. So amazing. Mind controlception. So we use this guy to jump up. Now that door is open, but we need that guy to stay up there, so simple. A brilliant puzzle. A simple puzzle, but an important concept for later in the game, because it is used once or twice. So they don't see us yet until we mess with their door. Now, I have actually seen that if you stay up here long enough, they get one of those giant turret things and shoot you down. But you have to wait a few minutes. So, I don't really feel like doing that. Alrighty though. So, first instinct is to go right. But clearly we can't. So, we go left. And we dive down. We find a piece of bread that sticks out. Reminds us of our own character. The character we're playing as is important because we control him. So the red there symbolizes other things that are important. Things we can interact with. Or the game wants us to know we can interact with. The secrets play by their own set of rules. And that's what helps them become secret. See more red. So, water experiments. Interesting. So now we can get up there, but the door is shut so the room wouldn't get flooded. But a lot of water for this place. Maybe my flood theory was right after all. And then there's this place up here, which it really isn't all that interesting. It just brings it back down to that room. This is just a time waster. There really wasn't a point to that, except to troll players. Anyways, eventually you'll figure out the solution. It's pretty damn simple. You really shouldn't overthink some of these. But then the light. You pause. Then you grab this. And you don't. Some players may be hesitant to go into the light, and they're smart. The light doesn't really do anything to you there, which is a problem I have because the light is does tend to be dangerous. But I guess it does make sense since there's like glass in between you. So whatever the danger is, it probably can't see you through the glass or can't get to you through the glass. So although it makes sense from a game design perspective, it is a bit misleading. But yeah, that puzzle was self-explanatory. But again, that light does come into play later. And eventually you see where it came from. First, the game has to show you the trams filled with slaves. Actually, no. Not filled with slaves. They appear to move around as if they have free will. That seems to be the upper class there, above everyone else. The slaves are below them. And here's the light again. We observe the pattern of the light and we see there's a safe spot, so we go for it. Again, the game has us stay still so we can view the environment behind us to help tell its story. This long tram of slaves being transported in the same direction to where we're going. What sick experiment is being practiced here? What are they using these slaves for? I mean, it's pretty obvious. Manual labor. See, that light's on a trigger. You have no choice but to jump back in the cage here. It scares you. But it doesn't jump out at you. It's not a jump scare. It's unexpected. And another train of slaves appears. And here's where the tension gets to you. You have only one chance to open the door, and you miss the light by inches. Okay, may have to jump to get on that thing. Save her knees a bit. But her knees cry out in pain regardless. We appear to be in the sewers now. Or a subway. It's noted by even more trains. The damp floor may have cushioned our fall there. Not by much. Still, though, we survive. We see more dead trains. They look like they were... It almost looks like they were blown away. Some more dogs. But they don't see us yet. Now they see us, though. I see another thing. Not quite enough time to reach there. Another possible trial and error moment. That one does have more of a case, because obviously you want to go right, you want to keep going right, but you don't have enough time to keep going right. The dog doesn't give you enough time to choose. But the dog only chases you as soon as you leave the water, so naturally your first instinct is to go back in the water to think. That does give you time. The dog moves slower in the water, but eventually it corners you. So eventually you do what the dog can't, and you dive. You swim faster than the dog, so you can finally outrun it. The dog's going to be there in a while, so you have some chance to get some serious distance in between you and it. But then the rest of the dogs come up. So, climb, cheetah boards, you pull desperately on the boards. You don't have time, the dogs are coming, so you have to jump back. This part is very self-explanatory. You use the intelligence of the dogs against them. Again, applying the rule for, again, that board there was introduced earlier on when we were hopping from rooftop to rooftop. At the end of that, we had to do another one of those things, and we know it takes 3 attempts before we can slip through, and the boy does that on his own. I've always wanted to try this. Can the dogs... Yep. The dogs can kill you if you step on them. Seems kind of obvious, but I just wanted to try it out. That I didn't want to try out. That was brutal. What I wanted to do was... wanted to just continue on. Now, apparently, the game didn't save my progress that far. So now I gotta do all this again. Goes to show for having more curiosity how many ways this kid can die. Luckily, that's not an achievement, though. But part of me wishes it was, to be honest. That was start. Interesting. The blue mist. One thing I'd like to point out with the design is this ladder is clearly broken. But the person, he's looking with intent. He doesn't seem to be a zombie. Therefore, he's bad. So, and light. We could easily be spotted in the light, so we want to stay out of that. And another person pops up in what appears to be a bathysphere from BioShock. But he appeared to have control over it, so I'm gonna wait till they turn their backs here. Contact mission control. I'm gonna sneak by. So the one thing we can do, really, or what curiosity compels us to do, is we're going to try to hijack their bathysphere. And we can. Controls of this thing are pretty straightforward. Just goes in whatever direction you're holding the joystick in. So does the flashlight to within reason. Obviously the flashlight can't really go through itself, but let's clearly on a wheel system underneath. And this introduces you to a very important mechanic, which is the charge. You may press buttons, find that when you hold down A, makes your controller vibrate. So if you hold a direction, then release A. Supercharge. And just look at how vast this thing is. And I love how the game lets you know where you need to be going with light. Subtle light. If it's too bright, it's dangerous. But now we have control of light. We are shielded from it, so it doesn't scare us as much. Background. All these areas that look like they were clearly designed for people. The number 2 everywhere, but somehow things didn't turn out right. So this concrete is reinforced. There's no busting through this. So yeah, definitely a flood. And now this part, I just figured out my last playthrough of the game. I noticed something I had never noticed before, and I'll explain what that is as soon as we're done with this section. But I will briefly recall those photographs from the cornfield. Yeah, remember that? Remember the cornfield? Feels like ages since the cornfield. Number 2 again. That looks like a tree. Button. Oh shit. More of these pods. The game doesn't really give you time to explore those pods, like I just tried to do, but I would have drowned if I stayed there another second, so. But it made me wonder, is there anything in those pods? And, well, we may find out. Well, I know whether we will or not. Just being a damn cock tease, but all of a sudden we come out here, and it's an enclosed forest. It's a biodome. So we see that thing, but we're gonna keep going right for now because we're curious. And it looks like the forest we started out in almost, except there's a wall we can't get past. But it raises questions. Was the forest we were in just another biodome? How deep does this go? And we're even above it to begin with. So it looks like a pretty basic thing. A can of propane inside a box. Creates thrust. Pretty simple. Only has one direction to go. Up. Gonna jump another one of these swing swongs. Now, the only real jump scare in the game happens right around here, so I'm going to warn you. But then I'm going to explain. What in the world was that? Didn't get a good look at it, but that was one of the enemies in the game. What I like to call the mermaids. These naked children with really long hair that swim really fast and try to murderize you until a point in the game, but we'll worry about that later. Right now we're worried about the murderizing us. So, where did that come from? Why was it checking us out until just now? And what my theory... oh. Shit. I didn't want to go through there just yet. Because I noticed another wire. Ah, it's been so long I almost forgot. Anyways, what are those things? And where did they come from? Well, I think that one in particular came from those pods we dropped earlier. I already know the solution to this puzzle. It's optional, so, well, not really optional, but I mean, if you want the true ending of the game, sure, it's optional. If you don't want to see the true ending of the game. So, standard practice, this guy again. Game mechanic of him being able to control things comes into play. It's clear that we have to bathysphere him up there. But this is where they start having strange effects. So we do this as usual. We unplug it. And then we can't, it disables the mind control. So those things have something to do with mind control. Perhaps they're transmitters that enable the mind control. What are those big pods? Those aperture science things. The testing spheres. Anyways, I just wanted to do that. Another button. This room, again, just to save time, I'm just going to solve the puzzle without all the guesswork. Again, just taking some time to view the surroundings makes a lot of these puzzles a lot easier, which is, I think it's decent game design in my opinion, where the solution was right in front of you the whole time. You just had to look for it. And while you can easily work it out through trial and error, this one, you don't even have to die for the trial and error be successful. You just get stranded on that side and you realize, oh, I had to swim over it. I just skipped a step. The not swimming over it and realizing I had to swim over it step, which most people go through. So, you may be thinking, we haven't run into another one of those mermaids. Hopefully, we will never will. That's about this happens. It's introduced to you again, but it can't hurt you right now. So, okay, you think, oh, he's just scared of my light, he's harmless. Those aren't harmless noises? Stand back, Buster. Alright, so now we're safe. We're gonna go towards the light. Now this is genius because some players may just forget to lock that guy out, so the guy may find his way in here and then your light will be disabled, giving him time to murderize you. Because this requires 2 hits. There's no way you can escape him without trapping him in the previous room first. And this marks the end of the bathysphere. But just because I want to, well, just because you may explore down here, actually, huh. Well, there's another secret to be seen over here, but it doesn't look like we can see any of our trusty friends, the yellow cord. It's anywhere to be seen. Well, now it is, but yeah, it's another one of these guys. This one is probably the second most well hidden, in my opinion. Another tree popping out. Alright, so what you may or may not have noticed already is that there's a subtle thumping in the background. A build up, then a thump. You probably can't hear it because I'm in the bathysphere, but as soon as I exit, you may notice it. It is present. Some people don't notice it, but the thump is real. You may have noticed it there. What is that thumping noise? What is this giant wall? Why are the walls so thick? Sand. Another one of those mind control zombies. So obviously we're going to have to find a mind control helmet somewhere. Thumping's getting louder, so we're clearly getting closer to it. Causes things to shake now. Whatever it is, it's powerful. And it's just beyond that door. 19. So many people we need. Okay, interesting. So we're going to go down. Now you can go explore all 6 areas really, but that's what's you're meant to do. You're just supposed to explore around till you find the right place. I already know where I'm going, so I don't really see the point. I'm just gonna head straight to it. Put a gun down there too, but it seems to mess with the electricity as well. Aha, a mind control dome. Well, wait, we can't move in those things. How will that help us? Perhaps if there was some way to mind control people and move at the same time. Ah, some Tarzan swing swans. A climbing wall. Even the ropes seem to be affected by the thumps. Subtly. Okay. Jump. Nice. And jump. Oh. They caught me. And they're following me. Interesting. So the mind control is still there. It's just a lot more subtle. They're just compelled to follow me. So clearly these helmets work wireless, but are a lot less potent. Perhaps there's some worms in these helmets that are being charged with electricity. That's what's allowing me to control them. I'm gonna lock the door so I have privacy. Some people are moving out, so it's probably where all the noise is coming from. So yeah, I'm just gonna solve this puzzle because this is the biggest, most complex puzzle in the game, in my opinion, or one of them, anyways. I forgot a step. See, normally when I jump, they would jump, but now they just help me. They're more helpful than doing exactly what I do. Seems to be a more advanced, really. A hive mind of sorts, instead of just blindly copying what someone else is doing like those earlier zombies were. These ones seem to have basic intelligence. They have basic autonomy. They don't just slump over. They can somewhat manage themselves. Okay. They're still compelled to obey whoever controls them, but still though. Again, more water. A lot of water. So much water. Now this puzzle, this one's great, because people never know how to solve it. At first they think, okay, maybe, oh no, that didn't work. Okay, maybe I gotta just subtly, no. Huh. How do you solve it? You do that. Sorry, I don't feel like dying from a fall from a great height, but that's how you solve it. Though clearly you wouldn't have died anyways. Because it was sand. Also more yellow wires. These guys are here to help this time. Now this one is one of my personal favorites. And again, it hints at these things' purpose. The purpose of these mysterious orbs. Grab a torch. You hear a dog. But then you see the dog is scared of the fire. But then as soon as you disable a thing, the dogs run away. They're no longer interested in you. Isn't that fascinating? The dogs were mind-controlled themselves. The worms made things aggressive, remember? Pulled out the worm from the pig. It was docile. You disable the mind control, it goes back to its normal self. It's connected. Repetition is a great storytelling technique. It can be overused, sure, but never undermine its value. This game's proof of repetition done well in storytelling, as well as visual storytelling. But there's absolutely zero dialogue in this game. Just like Limbo, you have to figure it out for yourself. I'm gonna go to the 3rd floor because, again, I've done this before. I know the most efficient methods of solving it. But this brings me back to the chicks again. Because you see, well, first, there's a dead guy, but then we see these things, which hint at the thumps, but could it be air? Compressed air? Sound waves? What is it? It's some sort of weapon of mass destruction, for sure. They're testing. Just gonna drop this corpse down there on the pressure plate. We need as many bodies as we can. Alive or dead or alive, they still have weight. So they're still gonna help us. We're gonna go see if those people in the cage are alright. But yeah, remember the chicks? The one dead chick? We used them to our advantage, and all but one survived. Again, all of these guys we used, but one of them wasn't alive. Now we've got the pantsless dude. Just the one pantsless dude. The one creepy pantsless dude that made this whole game awkward. That takes a lot of practice. Eventually you'll learn you have to pull the switch when it's right above the axle. Or the fulcrum, I mean. Wheels have axles, levers have fulcrums. Simple machines, 3rd grade, yada yada yada. So now there's 2 pantsless guys. Somehow they've multiplied. Now the music picks up. And there's the super weapon. So as long as there's anything between us and the blast, we can survive. I failed. See, there's a protector bar there. It's probably the only thing keeping this thing stable. The yellow bar. You see, it gives out here. So we gotta bring it to the edge. But we can't take it off because that's our one lifeline. See, I wasn't fast enough. And it shoved me off. I had to pull it closer to the edge. Or just have good luck timing. Music is just so serene and happy. Big relief. As the thumps weaken, your heart begins to slow. We made it. For a moment, we get the brightest colors we've seen. Sun. It's time. Then it goes away. We're going down. Oh no. Okay. Again, I've escaped that part many times before. Okay. Experiment number 3. The bomb. Go down. Ah, we do. More swimming in water. I've solved this before, so... But if you didn't do that just there, to that crate there, and you just went over here to see what was there, you see our old friend. Eerie music playing. This time we get a good look at it. And we remember, it kind of looks a lot like that thing in the photograph from the cornfield. Alright. And now we have to go down there with it. Swim, 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 swim. It's waking up, it's waking up, it's waking up, it's waking up, it's waking up. No, 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 no! God damn fish people. Think they own the sea. Why is it, again, why are these places so flooded? Gonna have to jump again. Seems to be a doorway we can escape through. And there. We just need to make it in there in time. Swim up here. Okay. What? Now, obviously we need to go over there, but that thing's too close. So I want to climb up this rope, push the button, sends the rope this way, figure. Let's play the role of bait. Now that guy's over there more. That gives us time. To escape. Oh. And now it appears we're safe from those monsters of the deep. Oh, maybe not gravity. No, maybe from gravity. There's that cord again. It's going through a grate we can't reach. Even catch a brief glimpse of the orb. So obviously we have to go down a level if we're going to get that orb. But the music cue. Just know. More of those things. Obviously we need to lure that thing over here. It's gonna open this door. And we made it. And he's over there now. So now we can go see if we can't get to the orb. Whew. Okay. Got the orb. Now we good. Now we can continue. Hopefully I've gotten all the orbs so far. I may have missed one because I'm not used to commentating on this game. But yeah, hopefully I've gotten all the orbs so far. If you want to use this I'm probably going to post this video on YouTube. If you want to use this video as a walkthrough, I'll probably post it as a walkthrough, but it's going to be a live stream as well. We set that up earlier. That is the most efficient way to get the secret on that and beat it. So There's that. Oh shit. Oh. 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 Well, it looks like I dreamed. Well, what was that it? I know Playdead's games are short and kind of have iffy endings, but man. What's this? Is that a mind control cap? Kinda looks like one. Oh, you're just gonna leave me be, buddy? Okay. Hope I never see you again. Bye. That is a brilliant image right there. An umbilical cord almost, but artificial. VHS tapes. Interesting. If you were born a few years after me and have no idea what I just said, those squares, those rectangles there with the eyes, those are called VHS tapes. Oh, I'm drowning. Oh wait, I'm not drowning. I can breathe underwater, thanks to the fish people. Let's have a swim. There's a dead guy. Oh, guess we can't go back up. It's over here. Nothing. Whole lot of nothing. Except a corpse. Something unnerving about a corpse floating in water. Ah, but yes. That fish person, the mermaid, seems to have given us the ability to breathe underwater. Which allows us to explore this flooded part of the facility where we see that guy has long hair. Maybe this was another phase of the experiment, Experiment 3. Oh. Is that thing alive? Or... Anyways, Experiment 3. Creating a creature that can breathe underwater, possibly to find a way to make normal people breathe underwater, so that we can live underwater and survive the floods. Clearly they abandoned the project once they realized that those creatures became unstable and started killing people. That's clearly where we need to go, but I'm gonna go down further because I noticed those wires heading into this building here. I'm a curious little boy. Again, these guppies, they're following me just like the chicks were, and just like the mind control slaves were. They follow me, but they don't obey me completely. Because they do keep their distance from me, like the chicks, but still they follow. It's a theme. They follow me. It's like I have some sort of... They weren't following me before when I was on the water. Now they follow. Perhaps it was that umbilical cord thing. It gave me abilities. Like breathing underwater. But what if? What if it gave me mind control abilities? What if the animals are just attracted to the mind control? What about the chicks? Why were they following me? Why did they shy away from me later? Those chicks I found later? I guess they learned that they can't trust me, but... Does this have something to do with that super weapon from earlier? Because it seems to be done in similar intervals. Huh. Corpses, the kitchen sink, and notice how I suddenly stumble there. I'm going to come back to that. Actually, no. So we're going to get afraid by the light. We're going to stumble. Realize that there's a path down here. This is how I first found it. I found this path first and thought, hey, what's down here? As it turns out, it's another one of these orbs, but it's too high for us to reach. But it seems to be directly attached to that other thing up there that seemed to be controlled by the crank. So if we can crank that down just right and come back here, we'll be able to get at that orb. Time. That was close. Yeah, that should be lowered enough now, so I can go check it out. See if it's in the right spot for me to pull out its power cord. Let's see. And it is. So yeah, it introduces this mechanic from way early on in the game. It brings it back, but with another twist. Whoop. Hey. That was a leap of faith. Not really, but okay, kind of. More of those pods, smaller, perhaps for children. And here we get to the fucked up shit, folks. Oh. So before we can ruminate on that, the game diverts us to this puzzle here. But water was on the ceiling. They've clearly moved on to gravity experiments with water. And it seems that there's some evidence that they haven't entirely shut down that experiment yet. And we'll see why in just a bit. More flickering lights. It's pretty realistic flicker effects, to be honest. More VHSs. Interesting. Those fish keep following me. So, maybe I'm mind controlling them, but... Huh. And those appear to be more mind control slaves, but they're horribly mutated. And they're suspended in the water. Because clearly they float. They'd only be floating if they were still alive somehow. More music again. Creepy, creepy music. So it's the same music. It showed up again. Interesting. This part's pretty obvious. And those worms. So yes, clearly these worms have something to do with mind control. And yes, clearly these people are still alive. But would you call that living? So yes, since I don't need to worry about breathing, I don't need a surface for air, so I'm good. Interesting. This area seems a lot more shiny than the others. Now that I think about it, some of those areas look like they were meant to be underwater. People observing. This is an active test. This is active research. So clearly I need to swim up there to the door with the water level just there, so clearly I'll need a box. Clearly I'll need a box and get it up here somehow, because I can't jump up there. So might as well search in here for a box. There's some more slaves in a cage from earlier in the game. They appear to be the super subservient kinds that have absolutely no free will. Oop. You don't see me. Father and his kid. They're picking up what appears to be some sort of order. Maybe the bourgeoisie. Collecting their order of slaves. And clearly, this has been going on for a while because the guy's comfortable enough to take his kid with him. Clearly, slavery has not been abolished in this alternate reality. Or maybe it was, but then it was unabolished by a tyrannical government. And the rich just roll with it because it gives them power. Power doesn't affect them. In fact, it helps them. So they just roll with it. They don't bat an eye. There's very little sound in this room. It's almost as if it's noise cancellation technology. So somehow they've found out to control gravity as well as brains. There's no way of going that way, so down we go, I guess. Here we see people inspecting this area down below of all these mind slaves, horribly mutated mind slaves. Treat them like product. They don't see me, but best not drop down till I leave. Till they leave. No, 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 no. I just want to point out that some of them have, like, chest pieces. Some of them appear to be, at one point, women. I guess that's not surprising, but all those workers I dealt with before were clearly male. Or they looked male. All their male characteristics were artistically exaggerated. These ones almost give off a genderless vibe. But they work the same. But notice I don't have a helmet on. And those are the workers from before, and they follow me as well. So clearly that whatever that mermaid did to me, it's given me mind control abilities without a helmet. So maybe that's why the fish were attracted to me. Because of the mind control. They're attracted to mind control energy. They're just gonna fall down there. We see a bunch of dudes running into there. Interesting. And we see another cord that I'm going to have to investigate. Door. Yeah, I clearly need help lifting. So I can lift up the elevator and send these guys down. It looks like in order to get that in order to investigate that, though, I'll need people up there as well as down there with me to lift me up there, so I'm going to try and separate them with the elevator. More of those wires. That music again for the third time. Clearly that's going to come that music is going to come into play later. Interestingly enough, usually that would disable the mind control, but now that I have some sort of biological disposition for mind control, also, I can fall from much longer heights now, seemingly. And the mind control is now an innate ability in me. That I no longer need the, those amplifiers. Or the helmets. The amplifiers turn off. They'll turn off the helmets, but they keep me in control of these people. And again, more people running, sprinting to whatever's going on to this final room. it's a fun one. Well, just look at it. It's the biggest room we've seen so far. Look how the camera just zooms in. An office. That cigarette was snuffed out recently. Look at the smoke. This place was abandoned, but just like 30 minutes, like just 20 minutes ago. It was busy. Again, more people just running to whatever's over here. Except that one guy. Look at that thing. It's like a mind control zombie, but it's freaking huge. And it seems to have more of a will of its own. And another thing, not quite as tall, but still tall. Oh, good, he doesn't seem interested. Whoever these people are, they seem more worried about whatever's in this pod. Yeah, see, look, they look at me. They don't really give a shit. Think I'm one of the kids or something. These scientists clearly don't know about me. They're more concerned about what's in this pod. The kid knows, but we don't. But yet the kid's gonna go through with whatever he's doing. Now the kid knows more than the player. As soon as I finish, this game's almost over, I'm going to talk about what I think this all means before I end the stream. I broke the bulb. Didn't know I could do that. Don't really have a reason to do this, but to sneak around like this. Kid's just doing it out of habit, I guess, but look. Eventually he just straightens up his posture once he realizes that they can clearly see me, and they just don't care. Or they're too preoccupied that they barely even notice me. More of those wires, a lot of them this time, going up here. So let's climb up the ladder this time. Look how many wires there are this time. Jeez. Grass? Is this grass? A freaking huge one. You see, those are all the ones we've got. If there was one missing, one of those lights would be off, but all the lights are on. The blank ones, of course, being chapters where there were none. And look, the second one, the cornfield. I clearly got the one in the cornfield. But that's the most hidden one, so even if you didn't get it. So clearly we have some investigating to do in the cornfield. Again, we survived. Clearly we have enhanced abilities now. Thanks to experiment 3. Experiment 4, the gravity water. The mutations. They look like pickled. They look like they were pickled almost. There's that big tub, but we're on the underside of it again. We're about to find out whatever those scientists were looking at. Gotta stop the fan first. The music kicks in. And look at that. The beautiful symmetry of this shot. As it builds and builds into a crescendo. Random words I'm probably not using correctly. And then splittish. I blow my frickin' load into this thing. So yeah, clearly there's evidence of that was very, now that I think about it, that was kind of like, I dropped some Freudian shit on you, but I think this is a womb and I am the sperm. That thing was just a vagina that I just entered. These are people gawking online. Oh my lord. So I guess, is this the egg? It's grabbing me. No. No, not quite. No. Oh, okay, now we fused. So yes, now I have fused with the egg, or creature. This monstrosity of these mutated slave things has gained sentience from me, and now amazing sound design right there. That was probably the most cinematic part of this whole game. So yeah, now I'm just this giant frickin' amalgamation, twice as tall as the tallest thing we've seen so far. This giant amalgamation of flesh and limbs. Combined strength of like 20 what used to be human. Experiment 5, their crowning achievement, or what they consider their crowning achievement. And clearly, I'm still mind controlling those things. I need a box or something. What's this diorama? Looks like a cliff. A spot under the sun. Trees. Interesting. Well, I guess this works as the box. Damn, this thing's strong. Interesting position of my left joystick is where it holds it on its body. So This is the big twist of the game, folks. This is what we were searching for. This big, a massive blob that we apparently came here to free. Or maybe we were being mind controlled by the blob. Which is why the chickens in the beginning of the game were attracted to us. So remember, the game made it perfectly clear that mind control can work in layers. So maybe we're being mind controlled by the blob, and we've always been playing as the blob. Dogs don't even do anything to us anymore. Yeah, maybe we've always been playing as the blob here. And we just haven't realized it. That was, oh, it separated a leg. 2 legs. And they're still moving on their own. Be very afraid, man. So now these guys are helping me escape, it looks like. Or maybe it's a trap. It's probably a trap. Gas. Box. Garbage. Flammable. It's clear what needs to be done. Still have blood on me. Oh. Need to throw the box to open the door. Furnace. This is probably gonna hurt. Hot, hot. Hot potato. Hot potato. Hot potato. Very hot potato. More of my limbs, just moving on their own. Let's enter this place right here. So, another place where they might have me trapped. Well, I'm smarter than they think. Perhaps this being is hyper intelligent. It's like that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean 2. Ugh. I love how this guy controls. How you have to take these mechanics you've already learned and incorporate them with these new mechanics the game throws at you.
And if you look really closely, you see there's children and people watching this. And this is clearly just to get me to stand on this circle. But you know what? You know, I'm gonna fall for it. Now they all huddle down and watch me as I go into the darkness. Essentially, I'm gonna try to pick apart at the walls of my crib. Like an octopus. Master of escape. My bones have become made of jelly. Or they've just become double jointed or something. Look at that. Gross. I remember that that one diorama we broke through. It's this blob. Wasn't that long ago. A cliff with trees and a beach and a ray of sunshine. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Inside Out. So now that we got some downtime, we can talk about what the hell just happened. So I think what happened was, so there's a lot of questions to be asked first. So, A, why the hell was I going to this thing? Was this thing controlling me? Was I controlling it? Was this thing mind controlling me? To save it. And it looks free, but is it really? Because pay attention. This place is exactly like the diorama we fell into earlier, except on a much larger scale. And you can't really see that far into the distance, so could this be another biodome? Why were the walls made of wood? Notice that? The walls were made of wood. This is another biodome. We're not free. This is just a larger cell. And then the animals, they always followed me. They appear to be attracted to the mind control, which makes sense in the case of the fish, because we eventually learned that I was mind controlling things without a helmet. But it doesn't explain the chicks, because I had not encountered mind control until then. But what if I had? What if I'd been mind controlled from the start by that thing to set it free? And there's the world. It seems to be overrun with water. Perhaps a massive flood due to global warming drove the population down, taking out the coastal cities, forcing humanity to come up with a solution. So it would, the rich enslaved the poor and the middle class as mind-controlled slaves to do their labor, dirty work. The middle-class slaves seem to do a lot less strenuous work, but they still had absolutely zero free will. And the workers were given slightly more leeway, but still, they had very little free will. They were still slaves. And there's those mutated creatures towards the end. They're trying to create a being that could survive in this world that the humanity has created for themselves, trying to improve themselves, tried to play God. And perhaps this thing had mind control helmets. This thing had mind control helmets hooked up to it. Maybe this thing was what powered all the mind control. They were trying to create more things like it so they could control the entire world. Interesting, when you think about it. And then those worms, could that connect to Limbo? Those worms seem to be the key of it all. There's some innate ability in those parasites that allow mind control to be possible. While they were just a simple game mechanic in Limbo, it's the whole story of this game. These damn worms. So now I'm going to press a button. And then the game starts again. So I'm just gonna skip ahead here to the cornfield. Just because that's where I know I need to be right now. Because now that thing's lit up again. That thing's lit up now. There's this room with the picture that develops over time when you look at it long enough. Come on. Yep. It's developing. Oh, wow. It appears to be the mind control creature, the blob, from the end of the game. And a box? A man? Interesting. Then there's this thing. So clearly I put that in wrong. There's a code that correlates to that one song that always played, which I'm just going to cheat. Look it up on Google, because
freaking cheat, hack, whatever. Okay, so I was close. Not really. Up, up, right, left, right, 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 up, 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 right, left, left, left. The door opens. There was a secret room, much like this, in Limbo. Much like it, you had to collect all these secret thingies. But unlike this game, in Limbo, the secret room was just a freaking bullshit difficulty level challenge that just took you to a later part of the game. It acted as a long cut, an alternate way of getting to somewhere, but it took so damn long to get to. Another mind control helmet with all these wires connected to monitors. And with the plug, whenever I pull on it, it seems to mess with that. And now I go limp. So I was being mind controlled. And now I've... But if I was being mind controlled, why did I shut down the mind control? If I was a mind control slave, why did I shut down the mind control? If I shut down the mind control, why did I go back to being a slave? This game, man. It leaves a lot of questions unanswered. But damn, if it isn't compelling. So, I've been streaming for like 4 hours now, it looks like. So, I'm gonna... think I'll, end it here, folks. Thanks for watching me indulge myself in this amazing game. I'll probably upload this one to YouTube. I talked a lot, but that's a good thing in my opinion. So a lot of the time I just sort of sit there and play the game. This time I engaged a lot more, so yeah. Thanks for watching. And I post this on YouTube eventually. Leave a comment.
explaining your theory on what this game all means. Bye.